Hello and welcome back to Bookish and welcome to my Saturday Hodgepodge, my weekly update on my reading, booktube things going on in the world, anything I really want to talk about. I think this one's going to be pretty quick because I really didn't finish very many books this week. In fact, I only finished one and I started a whole lot of others and I'm involved in some buddy reads, so I'm going to run through that really quickly. The book I finished this week was Our Lady of the Nile by Scholastique Mukasonga. This book is set in Rwanda at a girls' school set up in the mountains, which contains primarily Hutu girls at a Catholic girls' school and then a quota of Tutsi girls at that school. And it really is kind of a really slow building of tension between those two groups, which mirrors the ethnic strife which took place in Rwanda and ultimately led to the genocide, attempted genocide of the Tutsi minority in Rwanda by the Hutu majority. This kind of deals with the things that came before that took place in the 1990s. But if you know that story, then really you feel the tension. And Roz pointed this out to me in a comment Roz from Scally Dandling about the books points out to me in a comment. You really feel that building tension, and that's definitely evident here. The book is also, I think, fairly autobiographical. Scholastique Mukasonga is a Tutsi woman from Rwanda whose education and life experience in some ways mirrors that of one of the characters in the book. It is not one of those books that's like always on the edge of your seat kind of read. The characterizations are built up slowly, but it is incredibly, I think, rich in details and ideas about Rwandan culture and Rwandan society during the time period which is set, which I believe is in the late 50s, which I believe is in the 1960s. That book, though, did lead me to kind of reignite my interest in kind of late 20th century history in sub-Saharan Central Africa, and reminded me of a book that I've been wanting to buy and read for a long time, and that's Africa's World War, Congo, the Rwandan Genocide, and the Making of Continental Catastrophe by Gerard, Prunier. This is a book I wanted to read for a long time. The Mukasonga book, Our Lady of the Nile, reminded me of that, and I was able to order a copy and get this. I'm hoping to get to this in July. It will be a really dense read, but I really am looking forward to getting to that and kind of getting back interested in that topic. The rest of my reading has been pretty straightforward. One of the books on my reading list for my Pride reading list was The Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey. Sarah Gailey is a non-binary author. And when I mentioned this as one of the books I was going to read, I had a commenter point out to me that they had read the book and they didn't find any kind of LGBTQ plus content in the book. And my response was, well, thanks for your comment and letting me know. I picked the book because the author is non-binary, that oftentimes I'm picking the books not because necessarily their content, but because the author. But then it occurred to me that if that commenter is right, and I haven't finished the book, I'm only on like page 50, then that is kind of, I guess, unusual in today's world to have a writer who would be a part of the LGBTQ plus community write a whole novel which doesn't contain any storylines involving LGBTQ plus characters. And so I'm wondering, how you feel about that as fitting in as a Pride Month reading. Anyway, I've started it. I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little unusual for the other books by Sarah Gailey I've read, but I am enjoying that. I started reading that. For whatever reason, bizarrely, well, I know exactly why, so I won't say that. I also picked up Cormac McCarthy's book, novel Cities of the Plain. This is the third in the Border trilogy. What feels like about a million years ago, I set out to reread the Border trilogy and evaluate them all based on Steve Donohue's Dude Bro checklist to see if they really qualified as Dude Bro lit. And I read the first two books in the Border trilogy, All the Pretty Horses and The Crossing, and then I just never got back to Cities of the Plain. I mentioned last week, I think, that my Cormac McCarthy videos oftentimes draw more attention than some of the others do, and a commenter there kind of took me to task for what he believed was ignoring or slighting Cities of the Plain and the entire border trilogy. And that kind of prompted me to pick this book up again. Also, as I mentioned last week, McCarthy has 2 new novels coming out in December, so it kind of rekindled my interest in Cormac McCarthy, and I picked it up. And since it's a reread, it's going relatively quickly. I'm on about page 84, which I read all in one day, which is a lot for me. But I will finish this. It also fits in with June on the Range, that kind of read-along thing that's going on as well. So it kind of fits in there. I will say that I'm not at this point really impressed with the storyline, the plot. I don't think the writing is particularly McCarthy's best, but I still have a good, I'd say 3/4 of the book to go, so we'll see there. I'm involved in 2 buddy reads. The biggest one, which I've mentioned over and over again, is Faulkner in August. This year we're doing The Summer of Snopes. We're reading the 3 novels in Faulkner's Snopes trilogy, beginning with The Hamlet, The Town in July, and The Mansion in August. And I'm almost through. I think I have one more section of The Hamlet to go. Enjoying our discussion on Voxer. It is not too late to join our Faulkner in August group. You don't even have to read all of the Snopes novels, even though probably helps a little bit, but you can still join. There are lots of people who are involved in our group who are not as far along the book as I am, and it's not a particularly long book, so if you want to join, I'll leave the contact information for the host down below. You can contact them through their channels and they will add you to our Voxer group. You don't have to have a BookTube channel, you don't have to make videos. If you're interested, please feel free in joining us. And I'm also buddy reading The Right to Sex, a book of essays by feminist author Amia Srinivasan with Ami from channel Ami 1640 something. Anyway, long channel name. I'll put a link to his video down below, and then also with his wife CG, and I'm enjoying that discussion. We're going to check in again on that on Sunday. So that's kind of what I'm reading. I haven't finished a lot. A lot of my attention this week, I think, which is true for a lot of us, has been taken up by the January 6th committee meeting hearings that are being broadcast when they happen, being broadcast live. The first one in prime time. The last 2 have been in the mornings. Being retired, that means I have a lot of access. So I encourage you last week to pay attention to these, and let me encourage you also to ignore the noise coming from right-wing media about how unfair the committee is. To begin with, the committee is bipartisan. There are 2 Republicans on the committee. The co-chair of the committee is a Republican. Bipartisan means members of both parties participate. It doesn't mean they have to be equally represented. That's not what bipartisan has ever meant in the United States government. And there are 2 Republicans. Republican is not defined by people who unwaveringly support Donald Trump. That's not, or has not been, the Republican Party, or is not the Republican Party yet, even though it may be after the next election cycle. That remains to be seen. But what they're doing is important work, and you don't necessarily have to agree with the conclusions that I have, but what they are doing is they're exposing all the things that are true with actual evidence that comes almost exclusively from Republicans and mostly from members of Donald Trump's own administration. They're exposing things that he said and did. The fact that he knew the election wasn't stolen, and he still knows the election wasn't stolen. There was no rigging. And yet he went on to organize the rally on January the 6th and direct his followers to the Capitol on January the 6th on a lie. He convinced them it was true, even though he knew it was a lie. The fact that the president, outside of the events that took place on January the 6th, came up with a scheme, a plan to overturn the election using illegal means, and he knew those means were illegal, but he pressed that forward anyway. That's important to know, that a president of the United States encouraged breaking the law so that he could stay in power. And there's no doubt that that's true. That's not a matter of opinion. There is evidence supporting that. And again, that evidence comes from Republicans and members of his own administration. That's not something that's in doubt. The fact that the president tried to pressure the vice president into acting illegally to overturn the election, and that he knew that was illegal, that came out in the hearings yesterday. It is important for us to pay attention to this. Yes, there are other problems, and yes, you may think somehow something's more important than a former president trying to overturn an election and remain in power illegally. I can't imagine what's more important than that, particularly since that former president is clearly planning on running for re-election in 2024 and is still the most important, powerful figure within the Republican Party today. It's incredibly important to note that that person tried to subvert the Constitution, overthrow or overturn the United States election based on a lie he knew was a lie, based on illegal activity that he knew was illegal. That's important, and as an American, I think you should be paying attention. Also, probably important for people who aren't Americans to pay attention to know exactly, which direction the United States is headed based on that. A lot of people all the time, with all kinds of issues, ask, or ask themselves, what are you supposed to do? And the answer is vote. If the Republican Party supports Donald Trump today, and Donald Trump tried to overturn an election illegally based on what he knew was a lie, then Republicans support that. And you should not vote for people who support trying to subvert the United States Constitution and overturn a legal election. It doesn't matter what the economy is. I'm sorry, I hate to tell you this, but the price of gas right now is not as important as the future of the United States of America. And Donald Trump is a threat to that, and any Republican who supports Donald Trump is a threat to that. So, you can vote for Republicans because you think they'll do something to lower the price of gas. You may get lower gas prices, but you will get a weakened democracy and a weakened constitution that will move us closer to authoritarian government, and there's no other way of looking at it because the proof is right there. Anyway, please pay attention to those things, as obviously I am. Also, sometimes my Saturday Hodgepodge like to work in a little discussion of music. Being, not a young person who's necessarily in tune with modern music, I oftentimes miss things until they've gone by. And so a musical artist came to my attention whose name is Gabriella Wilson, but she performs under the name of H.E.R, H.E.R, which stands for Having Everything Revealed. She has been performing since 2018, at least, recording. And I just now realized, or got kind of into her music. So I'm going to leave the links to 3 of her songs below, and also to an NPR Tiny Desk concert that she did. I just think she's extraordinarily talented. She has an incredibly beautiful voice, and I have been listening to her this week. You can find, she has a YouTube channel, by the way. I'll also link that below where you can go and listen to a lot of her music and see a lot of her videos. Anyway, there you go. There's my Saturday Hodgepodge for this week. Look forward to your comments in the comment section below, and as always, thank you for watching.